Welcome to the MediaPipe TouchDesigner tutorial series. In this tutorial, we will learn how to use the MediaPipe library to create this overlays effect. In this project, the most important part is understanding how to use two simple math chop operators to position the hands in the center of the screen. Then, using the data from each finger, we can create points to link copies of a 2D plane we will use as masks over the video, and switch between different image processing effects using the finger pinch gesture. And by the way, if you just want to grab this finished file and play around right now, it is already up on my Patreon. Alright, let's look at the network structure. Chapter 1. Overview. Okay, first, we process the continuous tracking data for both the left and right hand fingertips using chop operators. Then, we shape these coordinates to center the hands and also to fit our aspect ratio. Then, we convert the data into points so we can link them to the rectangle copies. We will use this to create different visual layers. The first one, adding noise to the points, and merging them with circles and lines to create this sort of skeleton shape. Then, I mixed it with a wireframe layer of the rectangles. I used that rectangle data to create two different effects, this infrared rays and this X-ray layers. I'll show you how I built them later on the tutorial. I sent this into a switch top, which is being controlled by this simple chop logic that counts the pinch action to switch between numbers. And just a quick reminder, if you are looking to get feedback on your networks or find beginner TouchDesigner courses, you can join over 400 students in my school community linked below. So first, let me show you the tracker tool. Okay, so using the tracker is very simple. I really tried to build an app that works with as little friction as possible. First, you need to go to the integrate session, download the .tox project file, and drag it into your TouchDesigner project. As you can see, you'll need to connect it to your port. Just activate the web server, and back in the app, you'll see the WebSocket connection option. There are different types of connections available right now, and I'll be adding more as development continues. In the WebSocket, you'll notice that the port we're using is the exact same one used in TouchDesigner. If you want to check things out or do some debugging, you can head over to the data monitor. Here, you can turn on the tracking data and actually see my movements like the tip of my finger or all the tracking points in real time. So that's it. It's very straightforward. Inside the tracker itself, it's super easy. You have your most common gestures and other custom gestures you can use, and access to all the individual fingers. In most of my tutorials, I usually use the index tip or the right hand. As you can see, while I move, the values update instantly. One of the coolest features to keep things frictionless is that you can actually record your gestures right here. For example, let's record this movement. Press stop, then play. And now it loops infinitely. I can hide my screen if I want to, but the best part is that since the movement is recorded, I can work freely in the network and focus on the parameters, the calculations, or any math you might need to apply. Let me hide this for a moment to show you some other options. Over here in the control center, you can see right now we're only tracking hands, but you can also track the face. You can create custom gestures using the record button, and easily toggle MediaPipe's default gestures on and off. The macro builder is super interesting because it lets you record combos. For instance, you could record a sequence transitioning from a closed fist to an open palm. Once you trigger that specific sequence, it fires the event. You also have access to all sorts of data, like pinch detection, rotation, and velocity. Finally, there's the grid feature, which lets you subdivide your screen into different zones to trigger events based on the grid size and which specific data point you're using. There's a lot more I won't cover right now, but with just these basic options, you can start building a ton of projects. For this specific tutorial and the approach we're taking today, this is all you need to know. One last thing. The face tracking setup is kept pretty general right now, as I'm not sending every single value from the face mesh. Also, keep in mind you can enable or disable the common gestures here. They will only trigger if they are actively enabled in this section. So that's it. I hope you enjoy using this application. Give it a try, and let's jump right into the tutorial. Chapter 2, Network. Alright, to start, I extracted all the fingertip data and set them into a merge for each hand. Now for the left hand, add a shuffle chop. Set the method to sequence channels by name. And go to the Common Settings tab and change the rename to T. X, Y, Z. We rename the channels to TX, TY, TZ so that TouchDesigner recognizes them as position data for our 3D space. Connect the shuffle chop to a math chop. Here we set post add to -0.5. And now we need to connect this to another math chop. For this one, we need to set a multiply value of 0.5625. And on the Common Settings tab, set the scope to TY. We multiply the y-axis by 0.5625 to correct the aspect ratio mismatch between our tracking data and the screen workspace. By the way, if you find this network interesting but maybe do not want to build it all from scratch, you can just grab the finished project file on my Patreon. There are over 9,000 subscribers there who get access to all my project files, custom TouchDesigner plugins, and some free VJ packs. If you prefer to just jump straight in and experiment, the link for that is also in the description. Connect this to a null chop and rename it to LHPOS. Now send this to points, add a chop to pop for this null, and rename it to LH. Perfect. Now for the right hand, let's copy all this previous network and plug the right hand merge into it. Let's also rename the nodes with RH. Now let's configure our pinch switch data. Connect it to a count chop. And now route this into a limit chop. Set the type to loop, then set minimum to 0 and maximum to 3. One final step here. Let's enable positive only. Setting the limit type to loop ensures our hand gesture cycles seamlessly through the different visual modes over and over without exceeding the switch index limit. Connect the limit chop into a null chop and rename it to switcher. Alright, back to the points. Drop 2 select pops and link each one of them to the left and right hand data. Connect both to a merge pop. Now add a convert pop and set the conversion to points to point primitives. We convert the incoming geometry into point primitives so we can properly instance our shapes exactly onto the finger tracking coordinates. Now let's add a rectangle pop. Set its uniform scale to 0.05. Now send this rectangle pop to the first input of a copy pop. And connect our convert pop to the second input. Connect the copy pop to a null pop. Add a select pop pointing to this null pop and map it into a geometry comp. For this geometry comp, create a wireframe material and set the mode to topology wireframe, and also change the line width to 1.58. Apply this material to the geometry comp. Now go back to the convert pop and route it into a noise pop. Let's name this one Noise Per Finger. Set the noise type to Perlin 3D. The period to 0.5. And amplitude to 1. Also go to the output page and enable noise and set the combine operation to none. Connect this noise pop into a math pop and rename it to rot from noise. Change the input attribute scope to noise. For the parameter size, choose 3. And for the multiply values in Z-type, 360. Set the output attribute scope to nrot and enable override automatic attribute. Finally, set the components number to 3. Real quick before we connect this next node, if you are enjoying this and want to learn a bit more about TouchDesigner, you are always welcome to join my school community. We have over 600 students learning together right now. It is a great place to find beginner courses, get feedback on your project files, and just network with other creators. If that sounds helpful to you, I will leave the link down in the description. Now we need to create a line pop. And for the points position, set the values in X to -0.013 for the first one, and 0.013 for the second. The rest of the values should be set to 0. Now set divisions to 2. Connect it into a noise pop. Set the type to Perlin 4D. The period to 0.02 and amplitude to 0.018. For the translate values, set them in X to 8.4, in Y 3.1, and 0 for Z. Set translate 4D to 1, and ensure the noise output is on. Route it into a line resample pop. Select divisions per line strip method and set divisions to 2. Connect this to a convert pop. Set points to point primitives. Now we need to add a circle pop. Then set the radius to 0.01 and let's reference this value in Y. Set divisions to 24. Uniform scale to 0.4. And for normals and texture coordinates, set them to none. Connect the circle pop to the first input of a copy pop, and connect the convert pop to the second input. Ensure the template ID attribute is set to point. Route the copy pop into the first input of a merge pop, and also connect the line resample pop into the second input of this merge pop. Now connect the merge pop to the first input of another copy pop. And we also need to connect our previous math pop containing the rotation data to the second input. In this copy pop, turn on template rotate, and make sure the attribute is set to nrot. Send this copy pop out to a null pop, and then into a select pop. Connect this select into a geometry comp. Add a wireframe material and set the mode to topology wireframe. Then set the line width to 2.35. Drop this material into the geometry comp. Perfect. Now we need one more extra 3D layer. Copy the select pops linked to the left and right hands with the merge and the convert. We also need the rectangle, so let's also copy this one too. Connect the rectangle pop into the first input of a copy pop. Connect the convert pop to the second input. Now route it to a null pop, and then link it into a select pop. Finally connect it to a geometry comp. For the material, create a constant and then apply it. Alright, for the render, I've got a camera set to orthographic and with an ortho value of 1. I'm also using another render top for the two wireframe geometry comps with pixel format set to 32-bit float. I composed this over the screen grab from the tracker. It's important that you set these values in order to center the video with the graphics, because they will probably vary depending on your screen. Now this is going into a switch top, which is being controlled by the MR pinch control. I also added this two extra FX layers, one that looks like infrared, and one like an X-ray effect. Let me show you how they are built. It's quite simple. To build the infrared effect, I used the screen and the planes layer to mix them with some effects. For the planes, I used a couple of noise layers and sent them into a threshold top to make this rough edges. Then I mixed the video background with a ramp top color set into this look up top to give it this infrared look. And then also mixed it with an edges effect to add a texture layer. Then I mixed the layers with a matte top. The X-ray effect is also pretty straightforward. I sent the video input into an edge and colorized it with a ramp. I also added a noise layer to create this video signal texture effect. Then I just passed it through a bloom and blur tops to make this glowing effect. Finally, I used a matte top, like in the other effect, to mix it with the video layer. Perfect! You can keep on adding more effect layers and set them with the switcher values. I hope you've successfully completed this tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments.